From the November 1998 issue of Spin magazine, Please Love Them, They're Korn by Neil Strauss. Raging male hormones and crippling self-doubt may not be a prescription for maximum emotional stability, but 2 million Korn fans wouldn't have them any other way. Transcribed from a phone-in contest on Chicago's Q101, pitting a new David Bowie song versus a new song from Korn. Caller: can I vote for Korn because I don't know who David Bowie is? DJ incredulously: you don't know who David Bowie is? Caller: isn't he like 50 something? DJ: yes. Caller: he's like a dinosaur. I'll vote for Korn. Backstage, the band's 5 members sit in a semicircle, decked out mostly in tracksuits, hair piled in dreads, looking guilty of being lower class white boys from Bakersfield, California. Over the course of a 2-day festival, Korn bassist Phildy Reg Arvizu will pick a fight with a member of Primal Scream by repeatedly insisting, "You look like my Uncle Bob." An hour later, he will exasperate garbage diva Shirley Manson by incessantly sticking a toy keychain in her face and setting off annoying sounds without a word of explanation. Meanwhile, Korn singer Jonathan Davis will yell at Goaty, "F you, dick," when the loquacious junglist doesn't recognize him, and he'll hurl insults at Nice Guys Ben Folds 5 every opportunity he gets. Even Junkie XL, a friendly big beat dance band from Amsterdam, will turn down dinner with Korn because although they like the music, they've heard Korn are a bunch of assholes, but they're wrong. Korn aren't assholes. They just want some love, and when they don't get it, they act out. We go to these damn festivals, and no effing damn band will love us, the good-naturedly angst-ridden Davis gripes in his Tokyo hotel room after a drunken night on the town. We get no effing love at all. It's like we're in our own little world. We're not that damn scary. What the damn F? For once in my life, please love me. I'm in Korn. Korn's previous album, 1996's Life is Peachy, entered the Billboard pop charts at number 3. Today, Korn has its own label, Elementary, its own arena festival, the Family Values Tour with Limp Bizkit, Ice Cube, Rammstein, and Orgy, and the most impressive FU to gatekeepers of pop taste who have shown them no love, their own number 1 album, Follow the Leader, which topped the Billboard pop charts in its first week, selling 268,000 copies. This means that Korn are no longer an underground phenomenon playing heavy low-end hip-hop conscience, gothic lean-in thrash rock for skate kids and misfits so intensely brand loyal that they stopped wearing Stussy and started wearing Adidas in emulation of their anti-heroes, who, thanks to a new sponsorship, now wear custom-designed Puma. Korn is now officially part of the major leagues, members of an elite cadre of rock bands that have had number 1 albums this decade, bands like the Smashing Pumpkins, Dave Matthews, REM, and Skid Row. But Korn and the elite just don't seem to be mixing. "We're nothing like that, man," Davis screams the night before the band's performance, leaping off his hotel room chair. "Like what?" I ask. "Any of that shit." "Any of what shit?" "Any shit that's out there. There's so much rehashed shit. You see it all around us at the festival. Musicians effing hate us. Effing hate us!" "Why is that so important?" Davis ignores the question and switches tack. "What can you call it?" "Call what?" "The music. What can you call it? It's like the Clash. What the F can you call the Clash? Effing punk, pop, reggae? That's a great band." "People call you heavy." "They do?" "I'm talking about your music." "We just want to be heavy," Davis says, as if hearing the word for the first time. "All we want to do is bring heavy back into rock and roll, because god dang Ben Folds 5 sucks. It's effing Cheers music. With us, it's effing special. We're all completely different. I'm a sissy, Fieldy's hip-hop, Head and Monkey are Head and Monkey, and David's got tits. Big biceps to most people. But he's a great drummer. All we have in common is that we're total freaks." Korn rank amongst pop's more beautifully volatile bands, a collision of egos, insecurities, and drastically different personalities. The jittery Davis is the band's nerves. The self-confident Fieldy is its brains. The "I got goosebumps watching Bjork" monkey James Schaefer is its heart. The obsessive-compulsive David Severia is its muscle. And the much smarter than he pretends to be head, Brian Welch, the Angus Young Love and Randy Rhoads emulating teen who jump-started the band in 9th grade, is its soul. Like most successful bands, they get along like brothers, and like most brothers, they don't always get along. At one point, in the midst of privately rocking out to the band's new album, Davis hands me his headphones and cues up Reclaim My Place. That song's about how I thought I'd become a rock star and not get picked on anymore, he says. But my band still calls me a fag. Davis pauses and reflects for a moment. Everyone thinks I'm queer, he says with a sigh, and I'm kinda am, except for the dick part. Spend any time with Davis, and one is likely to be subjected to an endless barrage of queer references and gay jokes. But what might initially come across as small town homophobia turns out to be something more, a byproduct of a lifetime of sexual confusion. One Davis penned song entitled Faggot reflects on time spent as a Duran Duran living new romantic, when the singer would don makeup and hang out at gay bars. Everyone thought I was gay my whole life, says Davis, so I have to joke about it just to deal with it. Davis, who is engaged to the mother of his 3-year-old son, Nathan. More to the point, Davis seems to have internalized his persecutors. Those who have heard Korn only in passing may easily imagine Davis as a strapping Glenn Danzig character, screaming, growling, and raging against the world. But anyone who spent time with the music knows that it's as much about him breaking down as it is about him fighting back. On record and in conversation, Davis is constantly discrediting and undercutting himself, as in BBK, where one voice orders that it's time to die, and the next voice wonders, is that what I want? It is this portrait of Davis as a swaggering rock frontman riddled with bullets of self-doubt, coupled with his willingness to deal with an your 90s issues such as family dysfunction and childhood abuse that has helped bond Korn with its audience. In Daddy, on the band's first album from 1994, Davis writes, "You raped, I feel dirty. It hurt, as a child. My God, saw you watching. Mommy, why? Your own child." The song ends with an emotionally wrecked Davis screaming at his mother and his molester, whom he declines to identify except to say it wasn't his dad. "I effing hate you. You effing ruined my life." I've always been into working with the kid who was beaten up and kicked around, says producer Ross Robinson, who wrung the tears from Davis on the band's first 2 albums, because the most creative stuff will come out of them, and that's Korn. Writing and performing such intensely personal songs has never been much of a problem for Korn. Reaching a mass audience, however, has been a different story. Ignored by the mainstream press, radio, and MTV, the group over the years has cultivated its loyal fan base by touring relentlessly, creating a much talked about website and weekly internet after school special, Korn TV, and devising stunts like crossing the country on a mock political campaign via private plane to promote the new album. It worked. MTV's John Norris dispatched regular reports from the jet. In the process, Korn has spawned its own mini-scene with bands like the Deftones, Limp Bizkit, and Cold Chamber following in Korn's post-metal footsteps, not to mention the scores of dirty dreadlock imitators that have cropped up in Bakersfield. The cool thing about Korn, says Al Masoko, VP of Marketing at Epic Records, is that they take more fans in at the top but don't lose any at the bottom. That's the design of the band. They're built for the road, they're street tough. Though maintaining their faithful following is important to Korn, so is success. During one of the band's meetings at the Tokyo Hotel to determine their video concept, Keeping It Real, their stage design, audience members in cages behind the band, and their family values tour rider, a live abalone, a death metal CD, and a local celebrity, the band receives a 4-page printout of radio stations playing Follow the Leader's first single, The Death Disco Stomp Got the Life. "I can't believe we're finally a radio band," Severia chirps as he thumbs through the list, giving credence to One Metal magazine's assertion that Korn are the Backstreet Boys of metal. Ambition flowing, conversation turns to the selection of the album's second single. Freak on a Leash is a band's favorite and a logical choice, but there's a noisy guitar break in the middle, and radio hates noisy guitar breaks. It's during moments like these, Stay True or Sell Out, Our Way or the Highway, that legends are born. "Everybody who wants to take the biohazard part out of Freak on a Leash, raise your hands," yells Fieldy. 4 out of 5 Korns raise their hand. Davis, the lone holdout, tries to protest, but he's drowned out by Head, who is busy chanting, "I want a bigger house. I want a bigger house." The motion is passed on to the next matter of business. "Manager," bellows Monkey, "get me some Coke. That's what managers do, isn't it?" "I've never seen you drink this early," says Davis to Fieldy. "You are effing nervous." Korn is piled in a van on their way to the Fuji Rock Festival. And for seasoned rock warriors, they don't look too good. Davis, for one, has been up since 5 in the morning writing out his lyrics, and trying to memorize them. The band hasn't played in front of an audience in over a year. I threw up this morning, Fieldy grumbles. I took a whole bar of Xanax. My heart's beating 100 miles an hour, Monkey yells from the back of the van, and I can't feel my hands. Even the cool-headed head is anxious. I had a dream that Keiko, the guitar tech, effed up my pedal board, he draws. Then I had a dream that you guys switched the songs around on me and didn't tell me. Then I had a dream that Rosie O'Donnell was our accountant. In fact, Korn's set is a disaster. The show starts late, Head cracks his noggin open on his guitar, and the blackened stage is so sunbaked that the band is forced to spend much of the show with their backs to the audience playing to actual metal fans. Turned on high, they are blowing a lukewarm breeze on either side of the drummer. Though the tens of thousands of Japanese kids at the festival never have seen Korn before go crazy. They even open up a mosh pit, a rarity at Japanese shows. The band is thoroughly miserable. We sucked, Philly snaps on his way off stage, and you can print that. The show takes the hardest toll on Davis, who stays up all night getting drunk in the Roppongi tourist area of Tokyo. The next day, during a group interview with the Japan Times, Davis suffers an anxiety attack and is rushed back to his hotel. The rest of the band covers for him, then later plunges into the exotic foreign culture, going to landmarks like the Hard Rock Cafe and Tony Roma's. Meanwhile, Davis is laid up in his bed. He is watched over by Loke, the band's self-described doctor, psychiatrist, brother, bodyguard, and father, who was hired 4 years ago when Davis endured his first panic attack. Back at the hotel, Monkey stands outside Davis's door. I feel so bad for Jonathan, he says soft-heartedly. I just massaged his back, but sometimes I just don't know what to do for him. Inside the room, Davis is smiling feebly in bed, complaining about how much the shot in his arm hurts and trying to talk Loke into blowing anal suppositories up his ass. My psychiatrist says he should be helping me, but he's just looking for ways to get me high, says Davis. But maybe I should start taking antidepressants or go to AA, because when the band's joking around, the only time I feel comfortable, like I can join in, is when I'm drunk. Davis's anxiety attacks began while on tour in Miami, a direct result of too much stress, mini thins, and alcohol. But to get to the root of Davis's disorders, not to mention his talent for expressing them, you need to head west to the place Davis, not without a little love, calls hell. A week later, we're in Bakersfield, a beat-up blue-collar mining town roughly 100 miles north of Los Angeles. A town, according to Davis's 19-year-old half-brother Mark, where there's nothing to do but drugs and drink and F. Jonathan and Mark, accompanied by band ombudsman Loke, are providing a guided tour of their hometown. Jonathan points out the former site of his father's music store, where Fieldy got his first guitar, the now defunct clubs where Korn took shape, and the dilapidated places where he used to work as everything from a DJ to a floor mopper. Oh man, it freaks me out to come back here, he says. David Lynch could come here and have an orgasm. Everywhere I used to go is either torn down or destroyed. No wonder I'm so messed up. We could go stop off and pick up a couple of hoochies if you want, his half-brother offers. And they're not bad looking either. Ass is tighter than a MFer. Jonathan passes on the hoochies. I've been with the same bee for 7 years, he says. My Mac went bye-bye. This is the most time Mark has spent with his brother in ages. It's the most they've bonded since discovering at their grandmother's house tapes of phone calls documenting the divorce of their mother and Jonathan's father. They've listened to them all night, got drunk, cried, and wondered what could have possibly motivated their grandmother to make those recordings. Later, we drive past the theater that bore witness to the opening act of the divorce. It was there, in a staging of Jesus Christ Superstar, that their mother started sleeping with a Mexican actor whom she went on to marry. The actor was cast in the role of Judas. Before I got in Korn, I tried out to be Jesus Christ just so I could face his ass, says Davis. He was such an asshole to me, but it still made me cry to watch him hang by his neck. Believe it or not, the theater is one of the less traumatic stops on the official Korn tour of Bakersfield. More poignant sources of Davis's anxiety include the home of his stepmother, who is the subject of the Korn song Kill You, about how she constantly harassed, punished, and tormented Davis. Then there's the patch across the street from Highland High, where not unlike at the Fuji Rock Festival, Davis hung out in the losers section. And finally, there's the mortuary, where Davis worked as a coroner's assistant and lived on site. The overflow corpses part of his kitchen decor. After seeing victims of car crashes, suicides, and sexual abuse, including people he had known or talked to the day before, he suffered post-traumatic stress disorder and has nightmares to this day, one of which is exercised in the Follow the Leader song Pretty about a young incest victim. Exploring Bakersfield, meeting Jonathan's parents, sister, step siblings, and former bandmates, seeing the gas station that Head's father owns, watching the 40 and over alcoholic pickup scene at local bars, Korn began to make more sense. Korn began long before anyone in Korn was born. This becomes clear when we stop to pick up Jonathan's father, Rick Davis, the spitting image of Jonathan and his sister Alyssa, at the public television station where he works. Mr. Davis and Phildy's father were local musicians who played together at bars and clubs around town. Their relationship was more or less the same as Jonathan and Phildy's, best friends and bitter enemies. Phildy's father thought Jonathan's dad was gay. Jonathan's dad thought Mr. Phildy was an arrogant cocksucker. When I was Jonathan's age, I had hair down my back and was traveling around the country playing music, the elder Davis remembers. Who'd think I'd become old and fat working at a government-funded TV station? We drive to the recording studio that Rick Davis runs in a theater owned by Bakersfield's human mascot, the country singer Buck Owens. The studio is rustic with a Hammond Rhodes organ sporting a sign reading Nightclub, welcomes back Rick Davis. Urinals clogged thick with dead cockroaches and a box full of Jonathan's old possessions, including a blood-stained coroner's smock. Considering that Jonathan has portrayed his father as an abusive enemy of all that he was and wanted to be, the two seem to get along surprisingly well. I asked Mr. Davis about Dead Bodies Everywhere, a song on the new album about how he didn't want his son to be a musician. Initially, there was nervousness on my part, he says, at first hearing songs describing his relationship with his son, but it forced us to sit down and go over all the issues and resolve them, and we did, didn't we? Yeah, says Jonathan obediently. I had lost everything in bankruptcy and I was going through a divorce, and at that moment I looked at my son and said, always have a day job to fall back on. And fortunately, he didn't listen to me. But everything's okay now. We were both effed up, Jonathan concedes. I still remember when I drove back home after you moved to Long Beach, his dad says. When I saw you were living in one corner of a garage, you have no idea how many buckets I cried driving home. But I thought at least he's pursuing his dream. I'll be damned, Dad continues. Now you're a little drunk in front of your kid, making music and touring all the time, just like I was. When his father leaves the room, Jonathan marvels at the exchange. Since I was 13, all we talked about was sex. It wasn't until I started writing songs about him that we started talking about all the other stuff. He's not that bad now, but at that time it felt horrible. When he asked me I wasn't a bad dad, was I? What am I going to say? You were an asshole? But the truth is that Jonathan now does understand at least a little. Ever since I've had a kid, I'll totally have new respect for my dad, he marvels. He did F me over, but I can understand why. When he left to go on the road, he needed to put food on the table. He needed to pay hospital bills. I was asthmatic. I was in the hospital every month from the age of 3 to the age of 10. When you're 3 years old, you don't think about that shit. It really freaked me out when I left to go to Japan and my son said, you got to go to work? Bye, Daddy. Then he wrote over like, don't talk to me. It hurt my feelings more than anything in the world. As we drop off Mr. Davis on our way back to Los Angeles, Jonathan's dad shoots his son a look before he leaves the car. I'll tell you that I'm proud of you, he says with a smile, but you already wrote a song about it, so I don't know what to say. Jonathan waves goodbye to his father, sits back, and directs Sloke to the highway. So what did you think of Bakersfield? Jonathan finally asks as we roll out of town. It's a shitty place to live and a shitty place to visit. Now you understand, he says triumphantly. And you've only been here for a few hours. Doesn't it make you want to start a band called Korn? All right, so I chose this article because there was an infamous thing that happened to it. On the cover, the Spin magazine people wanted Korn to act like they were in a mosh pit, and Korn refused to do that. So they photoshopped Korn's heads onto monkey suits, and Korn didn't like that. Obviously, Mark, Jonathan's half brother that appears in the article, is Mark Chavez. He was formerly of the band Edema. Edema's first album's really good. The second one, not so much. I guess the singer for Ben's Folds 5 wrote a song about Jonathan's comment, like he accused Korn of using computer to fix their tracks and recording. The writer of the article, Neil Strauss, has since become kind of a famous novelist. He's written books with Marilyn Manson. He wrote The Dirt, which is with Motley Crue. I think he wrote a book with Rick Rubin. It's also cool to note that the studio that Rick Davis ran is now owned by Jonathan, and Jonathan records his vocal tracks there. I hope you enjoyed the article. Like, it's a very nostalgic thing for me to do and go over. I love reading it. It kind of puts me back in those shoes. Well, thank you for listening this far.